don't have the Scarsdale open space.
Hello, how are you? Nice to see you. Yeah, we're all set. We are ready to go. Yeah. How are you?
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. How are you?
Good to
nice
see you.
to see you.
Oh, Mr. Salonito. Hey,
Coming.
good to see you.
Mr. Salonito. My father's home.
We've got it.
We do. You want to squeeze in? I don't
Okay,
know.
let's
Do we have
Tom ready,
assigned
rock
seats?
and roll?
Just,
Sure.
like he said he was...
Goldie, would you lead us in the pledge?
Oh, sorry, you're Neil.
Goldie,
Neil's in someplace.
Yeah.
Commissioner Brown, I'm going to have Goldie.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Goldie.
Thank you.
Okay, Mayor Rosenberg called and he's coming in from the city. He's going to be about 10-15 minutes late. I think Mayor French got caught out in the city as well, so he may not even make the meeting. He's got an important business engagement presentation. He's hoping to finish it in time to get here, but it's not absolutely certain. So, can I get a motion to, any comments on the minutes from the last meeting? If not, can I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay.
Goldie, it's your turn. Comments from the public.
Thank you.
A lot quicker than ours, isn't
I
it?
knew he would do that. Okay, let me tell you something that's very important. Oakland Beach is the best beach, as far as I'm concerned, for the village of Portchester. It is beautiful.
The only beach.
And thank you, Fred and Billy, for everything they do down there. Because I love to go to the concerts. The concerts are incredible. Sometimes we have standing room only at the bands. Not only that, but the view from under the pavilion of the moon coming up in the fall, or the rainbow there, or everything, is incredible. We have that no place else. And God bless. The beach is incredible. People love to go to the beach with their kids. So, excuse me. So please keep everything going. I know you're moving to 222 Grace Church Street, probably in January, and you've sold this building, and I'm not happy about that, but I love the fact that you do the parks. And Oakland Beach, I love to go there. I love to try to help out. I love everything about that Oakland Beach. And thank God it's on the National Register of Historic Places. I try to, as a historian, I'm very happy about it. So thank you very much for everything you do for us.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Solomon. In fact, I'm glad you mentioned the parks. One of the reasons we're selling this town hall, which of course no one wants to do, is to generate proceeds. But what I want to do is reinvest some of those proceeds in our parks. And as you know, we're generating terrific savings by selling town hall. We're going to have a lower operating rate, generate $1.8 million in cash. And Mr. Nowotnik, one of my goals for the next 2 years is to invest in our parks, both Crawford and Wright Town.
Concerts, because it is incredible there.
Yep, I couldn't agree more.
As many concerts, many bands as we can get to come there.
Well, one of the things we're looking to do is, turn that into a year-round park. Now, I wanted to, I'm stalling a little bit for time because I'd like Mr. Rosenberg, Mayor Rosenberg, to be here for your presentation, Mr. Fish. So maybe, Fred, can we get if the board's okay, let's move to the financial and operations reports.
Any other comments first?
Oh, pardon me. Any other comments from the public? Sorry. Okay. Fred, can we go to the financial and operations reports? Thank you.
Good evening. Overall, I would say that we had a pretty good year, considering that we lost close to $50,000 on 2 out of the 3 major holidays for the season. We stayed within budget as far as our expenditures with employees went, and we went another season without incident. on the beach or in the park. We entertained an enormous amount of auto traffic, and thanks to our supervisor of security there, we were able to control access and egress pretty well. As far as, I know all the numbers aren't in yet, but from what I could see, we were, if I read it right, we're about 23,000 over last year's total income versus expenses. And that's a small miracle.
No, hold on.
Yeah.
No, actually, so, yeah, it is a little misleading, so let me see if I can...
Good.
I think last year, at the end of September, we had a $68,000 profit, if you will, or positive number. Mm-hmm. And this year, as of September 30th, we had a $24,000 positive number.
I read it real quick.
Exactly right. So you're right. We're positive to the tune of $24,000, but I think our expectation is that, given our past experience with the last 3 months of the year, Bishop, we'd end up, we're looking at a 70?
Probably $75,000, somewhere between $75,000 and $100,000 loss.
And that includes the capital expenditures, correct?
Right, and that depends, that includes capital expenditures.
Right.
It depends on what we do with capital expenditures going forward. And there is a request, for example, for you to approve something tonight. But, the reality is it goes back to unemployment, which has always been our bugaboo. We really don't get a good read on that till December. And we do have, still the lawn maintenance and the park maintenance that we have to do. We also have labor costs in the month of October. We have security as well as park maintenance staff. So there are ongoing expenses, even though the beach is more or less closed.
Yeah, exactly. So what we found is the last quarter of the year, we end up with expenditures and no real revenues, right?
Correct.
Well, we're down to three maintenance and two per day security, and it's been that way for the last 2 weeks. You have a report in there that basically outlines what we did during the month, because Bill and I and Terry, our last day was September 31st.
Okay. Well, look, I'd just like to second what Goldie said. Actually, even we're $35,000 lower this year in September profit, I would argue you guys probably did a better job of managing the park this year than last year, given the weather constraints and everything that happened. So I want to second Goldie's kudos to you, Bill Lawyer, Terry, and the whole staff down there. And thank you for another good, strong season. I know it was difficult. We had far more. Where's our weather analysis, Mr. Arcaro? You saving that for next meeting, or?
Sure.
So we should do so, but I think intuitively, or my expectation is we have far more rain days this year. Certainly on the big weekends.
Yeah.
As you suggest, we're $50,000. That really explains the $50,000 loss right there.
On 2 of the 3 major holidays.
Right. So congratulations, Mr. Joffrey, on another good year. Mr. Lawyer, you guys, you're starting to make this look easy. You see, Bill?
One quick thing, we are generating income through December from the boot camp by the beach, from the High Performance Track Club, which we just recently made an agreement with.
Oh, good.
With the Resurrection School, who paid us $450 to use the park for a track meet. So we're trying to generate
excellent,
overwhelming, but certain amounts of money, recognizing that the park is used year-round and that we're trying to divide up these reasonable user fees.
Isn't this in the time of the meeting when Bishop says he's going to start participating in the boot camp? There it is, Mayor Rosenberg.
No,
it's all perfect time.
When you volunteer.
I volunteer.
We'll all go. Let us know when you go.
Exactly.
We'll all join you.
I'm going to up on up. I'm going to participate next year's triathlon, I think.
Yeah, lead by example.
I'd like to thank the board for all your support throughout the summer.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on another good season, Mr. Joffrey, Mr. Lawyer. Thank you very much.
Fred, two quick questions, if you don't mind, on the report, just for explanation. On the triathlon committee, you mentioned here that rangers were paid directly by the committee?
Yes.
And then on the, Mrs. Patterson, on the Solace Fitness Program, there was an additional fee on that one too?
Patterson was the Arts and Craft Festival.
Okay.
That was $500.
That was a fee that went to the,
That's what
to you and Fred?
paid to the park.
No, that was...
Oh, okay.
To the commission.
We're on the same team, Commissioner Salini.
Well, it says
I don't
for a $500 fee. I was like, okay. All right. We don't have no Lone Rangers out there. That's
Well,
all.
we learned a lot in that crafts festival. There were a few things. It wasn't that well organized. We really were doing her a favor because she was left stranded. And we did the best we could, but we provided quite a bit of help from our maintenance
Sounds
for her to actually pull it off.
Good. Very good.
Actually, while you're there, before you leave, I know Commissioner Brett had questions about the cars. And Bishop, I think
Right.
you had...
I have.
Well, I think what we have loads of information. I was wrong, so we do have
Okay.
loads.
Okay.
But I wanted to encourage, if you want to have a meeting, if you wanted, with you and maybe the parking committee.
I was just going to say, I know that they had asked
Right.
for those car counts.
What,
Right.
If you could describe the information you have, and then we could set up a
Well,
meeting.
okay, what we've done is we've downloaded as much of our electronic information as we could.
Okay,
So we have all of the seasonal transactions, that's permits, beach, and parking. Those are the transactions off of our computer system. We have the daily sales reports, which are the summaries of this box. And this is the raw, I just wanted to show you the amount of data.
Okay.
This is the raw daily sales sheets that
Okay.
are compiled into what's
But
on here.
I thought we had some problems measuring the traffic in and out from our automatic reader.
Ooh, that was last year. We've seemed to have refined it and cleaned it up because we have some fairly reliable data. I have hard copy sheets for you, for example, month by month. But what we want to do is we want to try and see what we can do to computerize that
Okay.
as well. The problem is those are two mutually incompatible systems, and we have not been able to tie them together.
okay.
So,
What are the two systems that are...
well, we have the car counting
The car
system,
counter
Right.
and the,
which produces a report,
Right,
and the cash.
which I have hard copies of.
right.
Then we have our cashier system, which is the actual cash flow
Right.
coming in and out. That we have, Excel data. Basically, it's all computerized.
Can we reconcile the two or not?
Well, right now, it has to be a manual reconciliation.
But do you reconcile it on a daily basis?
We do that on a daily basis.
Right, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
And that's where, for example, I cannot let those documents leave here. I had talked to Carolyn Walker, said, look, if the committee wanted to come in, we could make them available, you could look at them, spot check them, maybe audit them in some random
We
way.
can make copies if you need them, but so I thought maybe
So,
the best...
my request was, I know that they had been asking for those car counts because I think they wanted to do
Right.
some
Right.
reconciliation.
And we do have the car
Okay.
counts.
And is there a way to get that to them? I mean, by providing a
Well,
copy?
we can
Yeah.
give you the CD
Okay.
if you
Okay.
want, but that's perfectly, we'll give you the CD, the link. She's going to get an information dump
Right.
that maybe more than
they're
overwhelm her.
looking for.
So,
Right,
okay.
so we'll
And-
give her the CD, and then
Okay.
if in addition to that, the parking committee wants to sit down with staff and Mr. Nowatnik, I'm sure they're happy to
Yeah,
do that.
one of the things I think we have to do is we have to explain the parking report. It needs to be understood, which it takes just a little bit of time to
Okay.
understand what you have to toss out, because it records cars 24 hours a day. The
Right.
problem is we're only charging X amount of hours in a given day, and so we have to ignore some of those counts that are there.
Okay.
To give you an
also-
example, yesterday I think you had 462 cars in the park yesterday. Nice
and out.
weather, why not?
In and out.
Right.
And it also records the security guards with the golf carts going going to the front
But
and
that's-
coming back in.
That we can't
Okay.
reconcile.
So Jeannie Golden, I think, is the chair of the Citizens Advisory Committee. So should I have her get in touch with you?
Yeah,
And you
absolutely.
will be able to provide her a copy? You just want to make sure she understands?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we can sit down, I can walk them through all of the reports, I can show them how some of the reports tie together.
Okay.
And this way, they'll understand what they're looking at. Otherwise, as, you know,
The information is
Supervisor points
all
out,
available.
It's a
and so
huge amount of
they can,
info.
they can,
They can have
have
that.
at it as much time as they like.
All right, that's fine. All right.
And then when we can make whatever
Okay.
copies they need
All
and
right.
stuff like
Terrific.
that. So it's, but I was just, when Bishop showed me the CD, I was a little reluctant just to dump
Okay.
all that
I-
information in their lap.
I appreciate that. So thank you. I will make sure they get in touch
Okay.
with you and make sure
Wonderful.
that they understand that the
Yeah.
information is available to them and that it's maybe more exhaustive than they expect.
Right.
But let them
It
take a
is
look at
more
it.
exhaustive.
Okay.
And I forgot to mention, I wanted to thank Bishop for all his backup help. I mean, he does an enormous amount of backup for us. And it's better he does it from here than coming down the beach. I'm only kidding. So thank you, Bishop.
Thank you, Mr. Joffrey. Thank you, Mr. Laura. Thank you, Mr. Nowotnik. Okay, so that's this season. Now we're ready for Mr. Fish to tell us what the future's going to look like. And you know, if we get to a public-private partnership, Mr. Joffrey, Mr. Lawyer, they're probably either going to lead their own effort to take over the public-private partnership, or the new people that come in will be smart to identify and talk to these people as they come in.
We have a consulting.
Mr. Fish, could you please just introduce yourself?
Sure.
And
Good evening. I'm Frank Fish. I'm a principal of BFJ Planning, and some of you, we've worked together. So what I
Bishop,
was asked
yeah,
to do tonight was just give an introduction so that the public could see it, of a little bit who we are, who is BFJ, what we've been asked to sort of do, and our response, if you will, to your request for proposals for firms to be involved with you on the park and on trying to get a proposal. I don't want to compare this to Rye Playland, but we were talking earlier that
it's so much better, is that it?
it's be better.
Only one level of review.
Yeah. So I guess Bishop, we're ready.
Just about ready now.
Yeah. And by the way, what I've given you all is just a copy of the PowerPoint.
You want to turn the
Yeah.
lights out?
Yeah, we will.
The musical stuff. How's that?
This is probably the best.
There you go.
Good. See? Yeah, there's no music to this, so.
Okay.
Good. I think you just
Yeah, we'll get that out of there.
press the old start PowerPoint.
Okay. And where are we going from here?
I think just to the first one, it's just a blow up. You can just press start PowerPoint. I think.
You want to click slideshow?
Yeah,
Hit the
slide.
slide.
Yeah,
See the up on top where it says
Oh, I
slideshow?
see. Yeah, that's
Slideshow,
where I'm going.
right.
Okay, got it.
right.
And say from beginning.
Yeah, and there we go.
All right.
Is that got it?
No.
No, you got it.
Click slideshow again,
Yeah,
Slideshow,
that's what I
right.
did.
and now from beginning
All
on
the
the
way to the
left.
left.
All the way
Okay.
to the left, right
Got
there.
it.
There you go.
Okay.
Perfect.
Terrific.
Good. I just wanted to mention, on this first slide, it's just important for me to mention, I think BFJ Planning is a planning and design firm. We've done a bit of this type of work, but we don't have everybody involved. And we've got a set of affiliate firms we've done a lot of work with. And I just want to mention RGR Landscape is just because this is a park, I wanted to have good landscape advice. Jeffrey Resch, who's the principal there, shares office space with us. Just so you know, I think, hey, Jeff Resch, just so you know, did Scarsdale's streetscape, for instance. He did design of that just as a reference point. Hudson Engineering, you may know, they're in Tarrytown. We just use them as engineers if there were an engineering question that comes up. I know that part of this site is historic. We wanted to have, because we've I just find Steve Tilley is someone who understands development as well as being an historic preservation architect. As you know, he's over in Dobbs Ferry. But what I liked, Steve did, by the way, the transformation of the Mamaroneck train station into the restaurant that's there now.
Oh, really?
And I think it's a beautiful job.
Beautiful.
I mean, the food could be whatever you're... I'm not, food could be great and the food could be good, but the setting is spectacular.
Yes,
So, it makes for a nice restaurant. And then Catalyst Group just, also shares office space with us, and they're construction managers. They're finance construction people who I rely on because when it comes to some cost estimates and going through them and reviewing that type of thing, we wanted to have that. So it's just an advisory panel that largely is in our office, except for Hudson and Steve, because they're up here and do a lot of work here. So at any rate, that's...
Just one thing I wanted to, we talked a little bit about, but the...
Oh, yeah.
I think that this commission is committed to being as open-minded as possible, encouraging as many different kinds of proposals as possible. And I just wanted, what a beautiful photo. But all of this area is available for development consistent with the historical footprint. Right. And all this area here is available, and behind the building as well. It's only one story, so
right.
So we're looking to encourage as many different proposals as possible. Of course, you have these beautiful pavilions here as well.
Right.
But I just wanted the public and the board to understand that it's larger than the existing, potentially far larger, consistent with historical design.
Right.
The footprint's far. I think we were looking at Bishop was like 12,000 square feet at one point.
Right. Yeah. Bishop, yeah, we're all set then, Bishop. We can go ahead on this. So who is BFJ Planning? We're a group of about 20 people. We're divided into these 5 smaller groups within the firm. I tend to be involved more heavily with planning and real estate. And my partner, Paul Buckhurst, in design. Sarah Yackel, who would be also involved in this. She's involved also in our environmental group. And then George Jacquemar, who's the J, sort of BFJ. BFJ is Buckhurst, fish, and Jacquemar, I'm the fish. And Paul Buckhurst heads up urban design, George Jacquemar, the transportation planning. So that's the 5 little groups within the firm. We are organized, by the way. We were organized originally. We found that although we do a lot of work in the public sector, we found with the private sector developer, doing a site plan was not sufficient. We needed to be able to do an EIS or an environmental analysis of it. We need to do a market study. We needed to be able to do a financial pro forma. We needed to answer all the transportation questions. So hence we set ourselves up so that we could answer those questions coming into a public client. Then, where are we working here? And by the way, I may have forgotten or not updated this map, but we've been heavily at work in Westchester. For instance, and Paul, I have Rybrook on the next slide. So,
okay.
We have been working particularly in this area a lot. Benny said that I mentioned the Scarsdale open space plans, and we've done Scarsdale's master plan, a number of things there. And in Portchester, as the mayor knows, we've just finished the plan and the LWRP, and have been working for a long time in Mamaroneck Village, so we're very familiar with the transformation of the train station and how that developed. So the next slide just goes into a couple of these. We're currently, in fact, I'll be in Rybrook Monday night for our committee meeting, and we're a third of the way or so into the comprehensive plan. In Portchester, as the mayor knows, we finished the comp plan and did a lot of work on the LWR, the local waterfront revitalization plan. We'll see on this is kind of a big idea of what I called filling in the gut. By the way, the building up there in the where it says Portchester, that building with nothing inside the square is Costco. That's the what we're trying to do there is fill in, and part of the Byram River, we call it the gut. It's where oil tankers used to turn around and make it into a park. This will not be easy. We need DEC approval, Department of State approval, and some money from the state. But we're trying to think outside the box in that particular item. For Rye, by the way, and I know Rye obviously would be very involved here. My partner George Jacquemart, because I think we can legitimately take some credit for the road diet on Route 1. This is George's design, and Christian Miller worked with Rye's planner on this. And then in Mamaroneck, we have done their plans, their LWRP, worked on the train station. Originally, MTA had wanted to do 2 10-story towers, one on each side of the train station, and it took a while, a bit of time, a decade, to convince them, that isn't going to be the way to get rid of that. They finally came around to what you see now is the restaurant there. I think it was successful. We'll see if they're able to do that in Harrison. We represent Harrison, and we're just hoping that they can share in some cost of a parking garage. Otherwise, we're not going to make that transit-oriented development, the Harrison train station, succeed. So we're involved in some issues like that, and close to you here. And then I mentioned this a little bit earlier. The village of Hempstead, we were asked, village is has a downtown that has a lot of vacant space. We were asked by them to help them with a request for proposal to developers, review those requests, go through the financials, go through what the developers, they had 4, as it turned out, that submitted, and we recommended one in particular. They chose that one. And they have 2 buildings downtown now before them for site plan approval for that developer. This is the overall scheme in the red that's in green there that's being shown. Tarrytown Waterfront was a little bit different. We didn't actually do an RFP for the developer, but we brought the developer, who is Joe Cotter, through the environmental and development process on the Tarrytown Waterfront. And I think the end result, by the way, this was not, it seems that nothing these days is that easy, but I think the product, if you go see the waterfront, the Tarrytown waterfront now, the product in terms of the townhomes that are there, the community facility that's there, and the waterfront park, which was also designed by RGR, who's part of this team, I think is a very good product. It's, I don't know if you've been over there, if you have a chance to go over. The details of it were argued about for a year or 2, but this all got through the process, and I think it's a successful, pretty successful outcome. One we just finished, we're trying to get a restaurant proposal on the Croton waterfront. Croton owns what you're looking at there is the, they label it the yacht club. I would call it a boat club. And it's sort of important, I think, sort of aimed at a middle-range boater, middle-income boater. It's not a yacht club would not be my term, but it's a boat club, and they have a very, very good lease with the village, so good that the village loses money every year, on maintaining this property. So the village was looking to us to bring in other uses that could supplement this, and we are talking to them now about an RFP. It's not similar to the Mamaroneck Village, but we're after a restaurant north of the yacht club to get in some taxpayers in this area. And then Yonkers, I want to just mention briefly, we did their whole downtown new zoning mix to try to attract new development. You're probably very familiar with the development on the pier by Peter Xavier Kelly, which has been a successful undertaking. So those are just some things that we've been working on. So for us, I mean, I would act as the principal here. I do a lot of our professional work here in Westchester. I'm a resident of Westchester. Sarah Yackel would be our project manager. Sarah worked with me, by the way, in Portchester. Mayor, this goes back a bit. Fox Island. We just couldn't. Here's one that we did not. But you learn things from a quote unquote failure in a certain way. Fox Island, what we tried to do, we were instrumental. Portchester asked us to issue an RFP. Sarah worked on that RFP. We ran the site visits for the developers. We recommended the developer. You entered negotiations with the developer, who was a combination of the old Spectrum, who did the development in Rye Brook, Mitch, and Martin Ginsberg. Now, all of this was pre-September 15th, 2008, the fall of Lehman Brothers. I mean, it was just pre that, and just, their financials worked in 2006. They didn't work in 2009. And the key there in doing the RFP for the waterfront is we knew we had to get the DPW garage moved. And we could not, no matter what site we went to, there was always a problem with it. And so there was a double problem. The recession hit, and then we couldn't get a DPW relocation for that site. So Fox Island, though, we did all of the, for the publicly owned property there.
Is that all that work, is that available to the village?
By the way, that work is available to the village. Our work, the village has.
Yeah, the work product, environmental, that study.
Yeah, and all that study. Yeah. And by the way, Bruce, the chosen developer, although Martin, I haven't seen Martin in a year or two, Bruce Lozito was his person representing the private entities there. I just saw Bruce recently at the Westchester Municipal Planning Federation dinner. So Bruce is active. He's moved to Stamford, but I have a contact info for Bruce.
Great.
If you need it. Yeah, Bruce. I should have introduced you both. You were both at the same dinner. So Bruce. They're. I think that one, but I mentioned that only because Sarah was involved with me in that, and we felt, given that experience, we would put that team around Sarah and myself. And then you can see the advisory panel below, which I mentioned already.
Great.
So what is the schedule like? We really tried to respond to your RFP, your request to us. We've tried to do this within a 6-month period. The initiation and site visit, I think we can do fairly quickly. I think, though, that it's 1.3, assistance with solicitation of the bidders. The reason I tried to put in 3 months there, and Joe, I was talking to you earlier,
Yep.
I just think you got to spend a little bit of time. We need to spend a little bit of time, and I think it's got to be a joint effort to get a really good, thorough list, and then not rush that getting it out and getting deadlines to them, because you can miss out on some good people who may not know about it. You got to really get this out. For instance, just getting through the. I'm a member of the Urban Land Institute. Just getting out information into the ULI circle. It just takes a month or two to do, and so I think that 1.3 is going to be an emphasis, and then within that, try to get a pre-bid meeting with those who are willing to come, who want to come, so that we can get their questions answered and give them a site visit. It's sort of, we in effect did that in Fox Island. Used a very similar process.
Why don't you go this last slide when we can turn the lights on, because I can't tell you how excited I am to have you on board. I think we'll vote tonight to bring you guys on board. And I know Commissioner Salnitro, who's our liaison. So I think I get one more slide, and then we'll...
and then just very quickly then, I think once we get the bids in, though, reviewing them can be fairly, I don't want to say quick, but a quicker process, and really give then you our advice on those and our team's advice, on those and what has been their experience, so that we can give you some assistance in what I call due diligence on it, and then you narrow it down. Hopefully we're going to have more than just a couple. We narrow it down to your leading bidders and have a presentation by the top 2 or
beautiful,
that type of thing. And so that's the process. I don't think it's necessary. You haven't asked us to go into phase 2 yet. You got to get through phase 1 successfully. So I think that's the key to that. And then I think, Bishop, there's only one more slide, and that's the advertisement for us, which I think I've done already. So
great.
So I'll turn it back to you, Joe.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that presentation. I can't thank you enough. Or is that the other side?
That's the one on the right.
Well, I have to say, and Frank, maybe just stand up there for a couple, just apologize, but we've been talking about, actually, I'm Commissioner Salnitro, we've been talking about this since really day one, since we've taken...
It's been a long time, but one thing you forgot to mention is that the committee that we put together has worked incredibly hard, and I'd be remiss not to give them the credit to bringing folks like you at the table, Frank. So they really have followed the lead that we gave them from the commission, and the committee's done a great job. They forwarded a recommendation for your firm's approval, and I just wanted to mention that as well.
Well, and just remind me, because with the committee was Christina Bircher, Dan Tartaglia, fantastic job. I know Christina Collins, Martha from Amerenik.
Yes, but then
who else? The committee did an absolutely fantastic job.
Peter Lahr from Rye.
Peter Lahr. Peter Lahr, my good friend. I shouldn't forget my good friend Peter Lahr. And this is the first time in 5 years it seems real. We launched this process, and we were successfully sold this building, as I was mentioning to earlier. And we just thought we'll put it up for sale, and people, if you build it, they will come. And I think there was some reluctance because I don't think probably developers felt we were serious. And I think bringing your firm in, I can't thank you enough for coming and doing this. And I'm thrilled that you're on board. And I think now, for the first time, it seems to me, and you're much more familiar, it seems like we're real and we're serious. And just for the people out there, we're nothing would give me greater joy than to make this happen. Nothing, look, the park has sat there without investment for 50 years. It's an absolute disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace, and it's a wasting asset that should be available to the community. I think with the right public-private partnership, we can work magic down there. But I think that you're the missing ingredient. So thanks so much for making this presentation tonight. But I feel far better today knowing you're on board, and let's make sure we do thank the committee members who took the time to find you, bring you on board, and let you know about our enthusiasm. But certainly that's my view, and I know some of the commission members may want to. Anybody else have any comments?
I might say a few words, Mr. Chairman. I can talk about BFJ planning. They all but resurrected a DOA comprehensive plan, walked into a quagmire, and together with Chris Steers, our village manager, resurrected that thing, and it ultimately won an award, thanks to your office.
I'll always remember those trustee meetings.
They were lively, weren't they?
They were lively.
Okay. But I think it's been a great selection, no question.
Frank, are you comfortable with the fact that we charged the committee to go back to the various firms that solicited the work and squeeze out the numbers that we were at for this RFP? Are you comfortable that we could do the job with the limitation?
You're a very good businessman. What we did, and that's why I emphasize 1.3, saying, we're going to try to put our resources where we think they'll best help.
Right.
And then try to get those proposals in. What I can't, I mentioned this to Joe, and what's not in that as much now is public, at this cost, public outreach, consensus building and stuff. The reason I mention it is that I still am not, and I wasn't involved in the Rye Playland, but just reading the process, Rye Playland and the product, I thought it was good. And I think the proposal's good. I'm not sure the exact financial pro forma that they can. I'm hoping they can actually accomplish what they are. In other words, it's a good product, but I didn't understand the sort of public controversy. The politics of it are not my. Bailiwick. They'll be your. I'm trying to say politely.
No, that's exactly right, and that's why I want to give you great comfort, because this is probably the best board in all of New York State, if I could be so bold.
Yes, you may.
No, but in all honesty, I think there's a real consensus. Joking aside, there's a real consensus here. I think that, unfortunately, I thought that politics aside, in fact, I was part of the process. I thought the process took too long. I thought they tried to seek too much consensus, and it turned out to be pure genius. I think County Executive Astorino managed to generate a bid that was absolutely fantastic for the park all the way around. And I'm very hopeful we can do the same thing here. And I know Commissioner Brett, I mean, we're very anxious that Rye City, who are the most closest users, the neighbors of the park, we're fully aware of the fact we need to find something that the local Rye residents are supportive of, the whole of the Rye town is supportive. And we did hear, and I shared, let me share this publicly, I shared at our public meeting in Rye this year, there was some concern that it'd be overly commercial. There was some concern that we're here just to make money. It's probably the fact that Mayor Pagano has a background in Wall Street. They're a little concerned, but basically, but basically, so we understand the concerns and we fully understand that. So I think this board understands that we'll take it upon ourselves to generate community support behind the project. Sorry, Mayor Rosenberg.
Thank you, Supervisor Carvin. I'm very excited about this. We're obviously working very closely right now with BFJ. We're very happy with the work product that we're getting. They're being very conscientious of us and the budget as well. And this is something, we're kind of like the stewards of this very, very exclusive piece of property that I think, as you mentioned, Mr. Supervisor, has been left in neglect for the last 50 years. And it's exciting to think of the potential, and hopefully that this would be the first step. And I think it's very exciting.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, I was going to step into this to
Please.
Caution everyone, really just to make it clear that it is a really precious park to a lot of people, and not least of whom are the people who live directly around that park. And so there will be a lot of concern about what proposals are being considered. And I think that the committee that was put together was very sensitive to those concerns as they were drafting what considerations we were interested in generating. And I know that at this point we really want to make sure that we are generating interest, but I also think that we always have to be cautious and aware that whatever interest we generate has to be consistent with the environmental and historic sensitivity of that location and the fact that it really is in a residential neighborhood. So all those considerations are ones that I know this board will take into account. But we welcome your input, and I must say I'm very impressed by your experience and the amount of projects that you've done.
Well, also that's why we have that advisory panel. I wanted to have Steve. I wanted to be able to, and Steve said I wanted to be able to call Steve Tilley. I think he's one of the county's good preservation architects, got his great historic track record, did a marvelous job in Mamaroneck on the restaurant. Be able to call him or get his advice, if you need it, on an as-needed basis. Hudson Engineering, the same way for engineering, and I've got cost estimators. So the neighborhood issue, I'm very sensitive of. That's what we do, kind of in master planning. But I wanted to focus for the budget involved. Benny's question was, the budget got cut. Well, we revised it, and I got to focus, I think, on phase one anyway of getting you our best to get the best possible proposals. Then phase two is really we'll have to refine. We have to make sure that they all respond to those community. Right. And there's going to be that, I'm absolutely sure, because after all, you just went through a summer of parking.
Now, Frank, you understand the committee makeup includes two members of the commission on the committee, myself and Mayor French. I'm not sure what that'll be, but the committee is going to still drive the project and getting the RFP out. You're working with the committee, and obviously we're going to get communication back from the committee.
Well, but I think it's important that now that we're in this next phase, the committee should make sure that this commission is involved in those meetings as well. I definitely want to be knowing when the meetings are taking place.
So that's why I think we need to get some clarification on the next steps with the planning consultant being in place. Well, we have to vote on it, but
I mean, I fully expect that you'll be in place as soon as we have a chance to vote. And then I guess in terms of what would you suggest as follow-up?
I would say maybe as a day-to-day anyway. I think there'd be two things. The committee, I don't know if you have a chair, Benny, or maybe...
The chair of the committee is Dan, I think. I think Dan is the chair.
Maybe have a day-to-day, have a relationship with the chair, committee, and through the chair with the board.
Right.
With the whole commission.
And
also then day-to-day, there's got to be a day-to-day contact that's here.
Right.
I presume that's Bishop.
Yes.
And maybe the parks.
Yep.
It'll be me.
Yeah, okay.
Perfect. So that's great. So,
that'd be
I think
good,
what we should do is, once we voted, I'd like to try and set up a meeting as soon as possible
Okay.
to determine next steps. And I guess, I see Town Attorney Noto. And if 3 of the commission members want to join that meeting, is that we have to call a public meeting, or how does that work?
Well, only if you have a quorum,
So we have 4 as a quorum here, right?
You're fine.
So,
Here.
okay. So I think, if Mayor French, Commissioner Salanich, and myself, we're okay. If other members, again, we're 2,000% transparent, so if somebody else wanted to come, we'll try and just we'll go ahead and make it a public meeting.
Okay.
But I want to report back, this is going to be, every meeting will be minuted immediately and sent to the full board. Because we need to have the public fully aware of what's going on, and obviously the board needs to be completely aware. And I think you're absolutely right. We've always tried very hard to balance interests, financial, across Rye Town, across Rye City, and obviously it's never been more important than now to do that. But